Welcome to another episode of the Rational Football League show. My name's Emmett Swart. This is my co-host, Brendan Ford. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to be talking about some interesting topics on today's episode, and we might actually finally get our first difference of opinions on the show this week.
Oh no.
But to start off, I know everyone and their mother has talked about it this past week. The NFL has implemented a new kickoff rule. If you fair catch the ball within 25 yards of the end zone, the offense gets to start the ball at the 25-yard line. Brendan, what is your opinion on that? How do you think that will change the game, and what do you see coming from this?
Yes, it's just weird, man. Like, I hate seeing the game change in a way like that, just because it's more like an old school type of thinking. But like, I don't think anything was like wrong with the kickoff, right? I don't know. I know they're kind of copying the college rule that was put into force back in 2018. I'm really intrigued at how it kind of changes the landscape. Like, people keep saying what I've seen on Twitter and other shows, oh, this is going to change the complete strategy of like the game. This might have a huge impact. And some people are saying, no, I don't even care. This might not even have an impact on the game at all. So I'm intrigued to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I agree. I do think, obviously, like everyone else says, it changes your strategy. It takes away a lot of the kickoff return abilities. My biggest concern about it isn't necessarily the game itself. I think the game will live on, but it does take, unfortunately, a lot of opportunities away from these bottom of the roster guys. I mean, you look at I saw a couple examples of previous Hall of Famers of Terrell Davis and Shannon Sharp, who really made their stick on a roster as late round draft picks because of special teams. Terrell Davis had that big hit in preseason, and I remember Shannon Sharp was on the New Heights podcast talking about how he was down to his last opportunity with the Broncos, and he made a great block. I believe it was on kick return or kickoff or something to that kind of one of those units, and was able to make the roster because of that and have the career that he had. So, I mean, if you take that away, you're taking away an opportunity for these bottom of the roster guys or late draft picks to really show what they can contribute to a team in a different way. I will be interested to see, in terms of the game, what new strategies do come for this, because I know these NFL coaches are extremely smart. They're brilliant people. Even the ones that we hate and think should be fired are way smarter than we will ever be at this game.
Right.
So I'm curious to see which ones start implementing a squib kick, because it's kind of gone away. It used to be popular, I feel like 20, 30 years ago, and it's kind of gone away because now you got these guys that could just kick the ball, through the end zone anyway, and you have great special teams coverage. But now you can just, if you squib kick it, and you can, like we kind of mentioned, I think before the podcast, if you could squib it to like about the 35 and then have it top end rolling over like a line drive.
Yeah.
I mean, you really do give your coverage unit an opportunity to recover the ball and steal away another possession. Or you can still, maybe the returner fumbles around the ball for a second, tries to pick it up, and you're able to get down there and still make a great play within the 25. And on the flip side, we could have a fun play where I know it was probably about 10 years ago now. There's an O lineman on a kickoff return that actually picked up a squib kick and returned it like 60 yards.
Yeah, that was the Patriots.
The Patriots. Yeah, for the Patriots. Yeah, I think it was like their backup center or something. That's his career highlight. So maybe we'll get some cool
score
like
too.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he ended up. No, I don't know. But yeah,
he ended up like 2 yards short.
Yeah, he almost made it. That would have been one of the best plays ever.
I know.
But Emmett, I'm just worried that this is another ploy for them to completely get rid of kickoff. Like, because a couple of years ago, didn't they? I forget what year it was, but then they move up the quote unquote kick line by 5 yards to get more like touchbacks.
40, I think it was.
Right, and then here's another rule change. So like, what, another 5 years from now, is kickoff even going to be a thing?
Yeah, and they keep hiding it behind
like safety, right?
Yes, player safety and the concussions and everything else. But I mean, they have this data that they aren't releasing to anybody, so we kind of just have to go off what they say. And I don't understand what the pushback is for it. If it's really about player safety and you want to keep the play in, why not do what the XFL did and just have everyone start 5 yards apart at the bottom, and then we can move until the kicker or kick returner catches the ball. So I don't know. If that's really the plan, I really would like a better explanation on why they're trying to take out this one specific play. So
Yeah. Yeah.
uh but I mean, I think yeah, we'll see what happens with it. Moving on to our next topic though. This is one I think we're going to get some healthy debate on.
Yes, sir.
Uh Earlier this week, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday, Steve Smith was on Good Morning America or Good Morning Football, I'm sorry. And they were talking about Trey Lance. And he had mentioned a comment that got a lot of pushback was that he only needed to watch about 5 minutes of film on a player in order to get a good feel for who they are. And his comment was that Trey Lance, was not going to be a turn your franchise around kind of a guy. He's, he might be good and he might be all right, but he's never going to be worth his draft pick. But I want to focus specifically on, because we don't want to get into this whole Trey Lance debacle here. I want to focus specifically on what he said about the 5 minutes of film.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree that you can get a feel of a player in 5 minutes of film, or do you think you need a larger sample size? Think he's right, or you think he's just, hey man, you're being kind of crazy there?
Yeah, I think yes and no. And Trey Lance, in this case, dude has played 3 full games in the NFL, right? And like a quarter before he got hurt last season.
Yep.
And when I say 3, like 2 back in the 2021 season.
Yep. He played against Seattle as a fill-in for Garoppolo. He played against the Cardinals, the Texans. Actually did play against the Bears. So he actually technically has played in about probably 3.5 games.
Yeah. So I just don't think, me personally, I can't get a good feel on him because the only game films, like substantial amount of film was back in college at North Dakota State when he was playing when he was like 20, or I think he was 19 during that season because he left his redshirt sophomore season. So like me being an outside in from, because I'm not a 49ers fan, but like I just haven't seen enough of him to really get that like feel. But some players, yeah, I mean, if like most players, you can probably get a feel. Like if it's real, like current game tape, you get a good amount of like experience out of that like film. I just don't think like even going back week 1 against the Bears last season, so it was week 1, so things are already rusty, right? And then you add in the whole like weather like factor to it because it was just like downpouring a damn like hurricane the entire game.
Yeah.
I can't really go off that, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of Trey Lance, I do agree with Steve Smith. I mean, and I know this is going to get pushback and hate from 49ers fans, and there's this especially a select subgroup in there that believe Trey Lance is the next coming of the greatest thing ever. I feel like I'm in the same boat as Steve Smith. Like, I don't need to watch 30 games of you. I don't need to watch 20 games of you to get a feel of like what you are. And I'm not saying the specific of like, oh, this is exactly what your ceiling is, this is exactly what your floor is. But I mean, if you go back and watch, the Brock Purdy first coming into the Miami Dolphins games, which we did kind of cover again right before the show here, you can see it right immediately. He's taking Jalen Phillips is coming right off the edge. A 6'5", 260-pound defensive end is right in his face. This is a player who wasn't a first-round pick, was never supposed to be a starter in a game, was never supposed to be taking reps, and here he is on his first drive, about to get killed, and he throws an absolute strike to George Kittle over the middle of the field between 2 defenders. There's just nothing I've seen from Trey Lance that has ever been anything close to that. I mean, I see a lot of the 49ers fans post his highlights, and his highlights are a couple wide open deep crossers against the Bears, a preseason game where it was a rollout left and he hit a deep corner on the backside of the field, which is a great throw, don't get me wrong, but it's in a preseason game. And then what was the other one they kind of post a lot? I think it was a running play to the left, a quarterback lead outside power against Green Bay week 3 in 2021 when they were still trying to do the dual quarterback with Trey Lance and Garoppolo. But it's like,
I gotcha.
I'm just not seeing the special here. I mean, the 2 wide open play action deep crossers were again wide open. He has a great arm. He has a strong arm, but that doesn't necessarily translate into being special. And I feel like I can do that. I have that same feel now it's just Trey Lance. I mean, it's any player. You can go back and watch college, I feel like, and you can watch a player in one game and go, okay, he could play in the NFL. I don't know how good he's going to be in the NFL. I don't know if he's going to be a superstar in the NFL, but I could tell this guy could definitely play in the NFL. It doesn't
For
take
sure.
long.
Like he
Yeah,
shows like flashes. Like you see
right. He
the
shows
flashes in
flashes.
there. Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
tell defenders aren't just arm tackling him. He's making them miss. It wasn't just a matter of, oh, the receiver was wide open. Of course, he had an 80-yard bomb. It was oh my God, he put that right on the money. What a read, what a throw. It was the same thing with, I think it was Sam Darnold that everyone was when he was coming out of college, and everyone's like, oh, he's so great. He's going to be so amazing. And I watched his tape. And I'm like, I'm just not seeing it. The dude threw
Just don't see it.
15
Yeah.
picks. Sometimes
Yeah.
they were really ugly picks. Like,
Yeah.
if you can't read it at that level, how do you get to the next level and read it? So I just feel like you can just, if you watch the game closely and see, is the player impacting the game or is the game impacting the player? You can really get a sense on where they might be at the next level. That's why I feel more confident in Brock Purdy than I do Trey Lance. Brock Purdy's in a game. He doesn't have the same measurables and arm talent that Trey Lance does. But when he goes into a game, he affects the game. Like, it's just the way that 49ers offense was run was just completely different. So
yeah. No, I agree with that point. I'm just saying, at least regarding Lance, it's just I just need to see more of a sample size from him. Like, sure, I can watch a game from North Dakota State. What's the good? Like, he's not even the same person from years ago. You know what I mean? We're not the same person from like last month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People change, and like the talent level, like there's obviously a big difference, like going from college to the NFL. So I need at least see like maybe
and
a
I'm not
3-game, 4-game, 5-game stretch when he's healthy and actually playing for the Niners. Like I need to see that.
In my personal perspective on Trey Lance isn't that he's a bad quarterback. I don't know what he is. It's the same thing as you. My ability to grade him is limited because of the sample size. I just know from watching what he's put out so far, he's not a franchise changer. He's not a Patrick Mahomes, and he's not a Joe Burrow. He's not going to come in and, go to a team like the Arizona Cardinals right now and turn that team around, put them on his back. He's just not that guy. Now, can he still be a great quarterback? For sure he could. I don't know what his ceiling is. I don't know what his future is. I'm not a fortune teller here.
Right.
But, to sit here and have this notion that he's still going to come in and be this savior because he was the number 3 overall pick, I think you need to be disillusioned to that a little bit. You kind of saw when he first came in. It just, if he was the franchise changer, he would have forced the 49ers hands at some point in that first season. Because there was stretches with Garoppolo in 2021 where it looked a little rough.
That's fair.
And they still hesitated to put Lance in. And then you go into the next year in 2022. And this is another thing that kind of compounds the issue, right? Because it's not just a matter of, well, Trey Lance just has been raw and he hasn't been given this opportunity. In 2021, if he was special, if he was a franchise changing special, when he was given an opportunity to step in and fill in for Jimmy against the Cardinals or for Seattle or for Houston, he should have taken hold of that job, especially with Houston. I believe it was like week 14 or 15. He pretty much had 5 or 6 months in the offense at that point.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy came out and showed special within 1 game. This was now end of season for Lance, and he still didn't. They went right back to Jimmy the next week.
That is fair. And something I didn't even think about either. Like, how come they didn't give Trey Lance the full range of the offense as soon as he stepped in?
Yeah, if he's a full franchise changer, if he's the next thing, like, you can't keep that on the bench, especially when you've got, Jimmy coming in and struggling. It shouldn't have even been a question. And the other thing, like I said, the real thing that kind of compounds it is he gets hurt every other game he plays. He got hurt in Arizona. He got hurt in Seattle. He's played in 5 games, just total 5 games, and got hurt in 2 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a 40% hurt rate there.
That's not good.
That's not good. And it's the same reason they got
all.
rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. I know a lot of fans think, oh, we got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo because of, his talent level. They got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo because of the injuries, and the same thing that the Raiders are now experiencing with him. It's been the injuries the whole time. And now we have Trey Lance, who's got hurt twice in 5 games. At least Purdy made it through 8.
Yeah.
So I really do think you don't need to watch a shit ton of tape to sit here and, know if a guy's going to be the next Devontae Adams or not. Like, you can kind of get the sense, he can play in the NFL. He'll be good. He's just not going to, step in and be Calvin Johnson here. He's going to be, you know, he's going to be good. But
yeah, well, that's kind of where the point that I disagree with a little bit, because I come from the standpoint like people grow and develop, right? Like Adams wasn't, Devontae Adams until he was him. You know what I mean? Like it took time to get there. His first couple of seasons, like he wasn't making any noise, right? He hardly was on like the field for the Packers first couple of seasons. But like just watching, that's why I said like I personally need to see more from Trey Lance, because all I've seen is those little games here and there since he was drafted, and then his like college film. What if he got better? What if he's grown this past offseason? What if, you know what I mean? So for me, it's always like a what if, because like the whole time factor to it. Like he shouldn't be the same player as he was back in college. Like if he is, and yeah, I full on agree with you. Something's wrong. Like something's not right here. You know what I mean? Especially if you leave school when you're a redshirt sophomore and you're the same player now, years later, that's not good.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he might be, because again, the whole experience factor. He only had a handful of games.
Yep.
He only started three full games out of that like handful. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
And I don't. And again, there's nothing wrong with disagreeing. I think disagreement is fantastic. But I'll giving your example of Devontae Adams. I'll give you another alternative comparison, because I feel like there was flashes with Devontae Adams. If you go back and watch his first and second year, there was plays he made. You're like, okay, it's the same thing with Brandon Ayuk. And maybe again, I'm a little biased here because I played with him and I saw it back at when we played at Sierra. I was like, oh, this dude is not the same as the other people on this field. Like I knew, every guy in college thinks, oh, I can make it to the NFL. I got this dream. My dream literally died when I watched him play. Like I saw him. I remember there was one play specifically. Our quarterback was running around. He was just throwing it away. He's like, all right, whatever, play's dead, throw it away to our sideline. And it was about 10 or 15 yards down the field. And Brandon jumped up 360, caught it one-handed, got 2 feet in, and then stepped out of bounds. And I was like, nope, I'm not an NFL player. That's an NFL player. That's not me. Yeah. Like you can just see the flashes. And you watch Brandon right now in the first, what is he now? Year 3? Or in year 4, I think it is. There's, no one would consider Brandon a superstar yet, a best receiver in the league. But you see the flashes, his route running ability. He's able to create separation with setting up receivers with faking in and coming out, or, trying to create separation. You can see it now. He needs to clean up the drops. And if he cleans up the drops, he will be a superstar in the NFL. But there's always been those flashes. And I'm saying with Trey Lance, even if I go back and watch his college, I didn't see a whole lot of flashes. I saw a dude that was way more talented than the other people around him, but he's playing at a low DA. Low D1.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, Trey Lance probably could have gone to a higher D1. He could have gone to a Michigan, or he could have gone to
some sort of Power 5.
Yeah, a Power 5 school. I don't think he could have succeeded at a Georgia, or an Alabama, but he definitely could have gone to Wisconsin and been well off, or Minnesota and been well off. So I think that was more of a matter of this dude's more talented than the other people around him for sure. But does that make him NFL stardom good? Right. I mean, even when you look at Patrick Mahomes, when his first year or two, he wasn't a superstar, but there was always that like flash of an ability, that play that just happens every. I'll give you another example. I'm sorry. I know I'm kind of.
No, you're good. No, you're good. Yeah.
Justin Fields. I'm confident Justin Fields could be a great special quarterback in the NFL. Maybe not technically with his arm ability. He might fall more into Lamar Jackson, where you're like, okay, your specialness is your special abilities, you're running, but you still got a good to great arm to back it up. We've watched in the NFL Justin be special with his legs, create something out of nothing. I remember there was a play, Bears podcaster posted recently where it was a screen that was just blown up, running back screen to the right, D-line sniffed it out. They've got the dude in a chokehold. And instead of just taking a sack or throwing it away, Justin runs to his left, makes a couple guys miss, and before you know it, it's a 65-yard touchdown that he's just created by himself.
Yeah, I think about the Vikings game.
Yeah, against the Vikings game. Yeah, it wasn't that the Vikings players were bad. It was that he was making them look bad because that's how great he was. That's what I'm talking about. I don't see that. I haven't seen that with Trey.
That's fair.
I've seen one throw that was really impressive, but I haven't seen anything where I'm like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that's fair. I think that we're pretty close to time here, but I have like two pressing questions just about
Yeah.
Brock Purdy that I kind of will get
Okay.
your thoughts on. Do you think Brock Purdy could be that franchise changing guy then?
I think I need to see what he comes back from injury, because injuries like that can really, derail a career, as we've seen in every sport many times. If he comes
Yeah.
back fully healthy, I say yes. I mean, and I know we think, oh, his draft position or whatever. Joe Montana was a 3rd round pick. Brady was a 6th round pick. So many of these all-time great quarterbacks were late or different round picks. They aren't all 1st round top 3 superstars. It happens. And you can kind of tell, and this is what if we're not, and this isn't just my opinion, this is the NFL's response to Brock Purdy. Every team this year was looking for their Brock Purdy. It's been in many interviews. You can go look it up. I want to be involved. This would be a you only study. You go look it up. Teams
Homework.
this is your own homework. If you find it and you don't like it, you can be mad at me, someone else, but I won't be in the room for it. This is just a you thing. Go look it up. Teams openly admitted we were looking for our own Brock Purdy. There were dudes in this draft being compared to Brock Purdy. So what it tells you, the NFL must think the same thing. They must think that he's a special player, and we want our own late round special player.
Right.
So I mean, I really do. If you go back and watch just the first game, I mean, really put that situation into context. He went into that game probably sitting on his ass, not thinking really that he's, in the reality that he's not getting into the game. I want to be prepared, but I'm not getting into this game. And all of a sudden, your son and someone's in here, Birdie, get in. And he's probably like,
Yeah. 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 Well, it kind of segues into my second question too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's unfair to place the same expectations on Brock Purdy that Trey Lance has, given their draft? I don't want to call it like whenever they got picked in the draft, right? Yeah, like one's a top 3 pick, one was a bottom 3 pick.
Bottom 1 pick.
Yeah, right. So do you think it's fair to have the same expectations as Brock Purdy does, similar to like Trey Lance?
I think that is fair. And I think maybe more specifically, it's not about putting it on either Trey Lance or Brock Purdy, or for some reason Sam Darnold's there. I think it's more about putting the expectation on your quarterback position. Whoever plays quarterback that we go forward and we feel the most confident with, we expect them to take over games. We expect them to be efficient. We expect them to be able to read the blitz and get it out to the hot. I think that same expectation of being able to lead the team, protect the ball, execute the offense to the best of the ability that it can be, is the expectation. And I think that's what was asked of Trey Lance, and that's what is going to be asked of Brock Purdy. And I think that if they don't meet that expectation, then yeah, you need to find somebody else. And it turns out that that wasn't the answer. So I don't think it's a matter of Purdy's going to be asked to do something completely different than Trey Lance is. I think it's just a matter of you're starting quarterback for a team that has a history of having great quarterbacks. So, and that's another thing for this conversation that really does suck when it comes to discussing 49ers quarterbacks, is that we've had some good ones, some great ones, Hall of Fame ones.
Yeah.
So no matter who comes in, you automatically get compared to that. And it's really funny because I'm too young to have watched Joe Montana and Steve Young, but my dad isn't. So no matter who plays quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers nowadays, they're a fucking bum every time.
Yeah. There'll be so much pressure involved with whoever starts. Doesn't matter if you're a top 3 pick or the last pick of the NFL draft. You're going to have pressure.
There's been 2 consistencies in my sports watching life when it involves watching with my dad. The first one is it's fuck the Dodgers. And the second one is whoever's playing quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers is a bum now. Tim Rattay, Alex Smith, JT O'Sullivan, Colin Kaepernick, Blaine Gabbert, whoever it is for all these years is a bum because it's not Joe Montana or Steve Young.
If you're not Steve or Joe,
I know that's why I have
get the hell out.
Relax. That's what he's supposed. It's called a check down. He'll be okay.
Right.
That was a smart decision to throw it away. He had 3 guys in his face.
Yeah.
Joe Montana. He's not Joe Montana. So we can.
We can move on from that. He's not Hall of Fame quarterback.
Joe's not coming back. If we get another quarterback with the state for last name, maybe. But until then,
get his like grandson through the system here.
Yeah. Just like,
For real.
all right,
Hey, no,
here's Steve, Wyoming.
yeah.
But yeah, no matter what, I think whoever starts quarterback for the 49ers is going to have a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get the credit. You're never going to get the credit because it's either you're not as good as the Hall of Fame quarterbacks behind you, or if you are really good, well, it's because it's Shanahan's offense. And Shanahan's really the guy running the show there. I mean, if you ask a lot of these people, they're convinced Shanahan's the one that actually plays quarterback.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully winning a ring will kind of put them in the race.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen the clip of like when Steve Young finally gets his ring in '94 and he turns to his teammates and he goes, "Can someone finally get this monkey off my back?" And
yeah,
then,
I remember that.
That's going to be twice as big for whatever quarterback leads the 49ers to the next ring. Oh my gosh.
I know it. But, all right, man. Well, it's all the questions I had. I think that was a good combo.
Yeah, cool. It was nice to see our first little debate here. I think we kind of do disagree a little bit about that. You're more of I need to see a lot of a tape. I'm more of I can see it live and I can see it when live bullets are flying at you. Do you have it or not? And I think for Trey Lance, I don't think it's a matter of he's ever going to be a franchise. He may grow into a great quarterback. That's not what I'm not ruling that out. I for sure, my understanding of whatever report I see is he's a smart guy. He's a great person. He does have a big arm, and the big arm that I think a lot of people miss about this too. And we'll make this into a short instead. So we'll move on to that.
Yeah.
But I just think it's a matter of you can watch a guy for a few minutes and see what's at least I can and see what's going on and tell if it's a matter of they're affecting the player, the play's affecting them, and if they got it. But I think that does wrap it up for the episode this week. If you disagree with me, I don't care. That's just is what it is. If you disagree with B, then maybe look in the mirror because it's a smart mind over there. But
you're funny, bro. You're funny as hell.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Irrational Football League. We will see you guys not next week. We will be off, but the following week. We'll still be releasing some shorts throughout the next week, but don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, interact with us. We love interacting with respectful comments. But until next time, guys, you have a great day.
See ya.